The night had passed, and dawn's first light crept over the horizon, casting long shadows through the dense forest. The group stirred, tired but alert. The night had been restless. Small rustles in the underbrush, the distant howl of predators, the constant whisper of wind through the trees. Every sound reminded them that survival was never guaranteed. The leader rose first, his movements slow but deliberate. Every scar on his body told a story of lessons learned, of mistakes survived. He scanned the terrain, noting the rise and fall of the land, the patterns of the trees, the signs left by other creatures. His experience was their greatest asset. The young hunter, still filled with restless energy, watched him with wide eyes. There was much to learn: how to read the ground, how to anticipate danger, how to move silently without disturbing the life around them. He mimicked the leader's cautious steps, careful not to make noise, careful not to be seen. As they moved, the group came across a small stream. The water sparkled in the morning light, pure and inviting. They knelt to drink, testing it carefully, knowing that even the smallest misjudgment could be fatal. The leader gestured toward the surrounding forest. "We move carefully," he said, his voice low and commanding. "Water is life, but it draws eyes we do not wish to meet." The group followed his lead, collecting food cautiously: small roots, berries, and occasional insects. Every morsel counted. The young hunter's hands trembled slightly as he picked the berries, remembering the stories of those who had fallen to poisonous plants. Knowledge was survival. By midday, the forest opened into a rocky clearing. Sunlight poured down, revealing tracks of creatures both familiar and unknown. The leader knelt, examining the impressions carefully. "These are not our people. Other humans may be near. Watch, learn, do not approach without reason." The young hunter leaned closer, trying to decipher the shapes. His heart raced with both fear and excitement. They were not alone in this land. Every step forward was a lesson in caution, every observation a step toward understanding. The day passed in a careful rhythm of movement and observation. Shadows grew long, and the group sought shelter once more. They built a small fire, not for warmth alone, but for protection and guidance. The flickering flames illuminated their faces, revealing both weariness and determination. Around the fire, stories emerged, not just of hunts and dangers, but of strategy and knowledge. The leader spoke of plants that could heal, rocks that could be fashioned into tools, stars that guided them at night. The young hunter listened, absorbing every detail, realizing that survival depended as much on wisdom as on strength. As night fell, the forest transformed. Sounds of nocturnal creatures echoed around them. Eyes glimmered in the dark, and the group huddled closer to the fire, senses heightened. Every movement was a reminder that their journey was far from over. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new lessons. And so, with hearts steady and eyes watchful, the first humans continued their slow march into the unknown, learning from the land, adapting to the dangers around them, and quietly shaping the dawn of human history, one careful, deliberate step at a time. As the small group pressed forward, the forest thickened around them. Every snapped twig, every rustle in the underbrush demanded attention. Their world was one of constant learning. The young hunter, whose curiosity often outweighed caution, pointed toward a cluster of unfamiliar plants. "These could be edible," he whispered, almost to himself. His fingers brushed the leaves cautiously, remembering past mistakes. One wrong choice could be fatal. The leader, sensing both the potential and the danger, nodded but motioned to continue. Survival meant patience, not impulsiveness. Hours passed, marked by the slow march of shadows and the occasional cry of a predator. They discovered a small clearing where the morning sun broke through, illuminating the ground with golden light. It was here they found traces of other creatures, prints in the soft soil, evidence that they were not alone. "This land is shared," the leader said gravely. "We are intruders here. Respect, observation, and silence are our allies." They set up a temporary resting spot near a stream, careful not to leave signs of their presence. While others foraged for berries and roots, the young hunter kept watch, learning the subtle patterns of birds and animals, how they moved, what alerted them. Each observation was a lesson, a survival guide passed down by the land itself. As night approached, the temperature dropped sharply. They built a modest fire, the smoke spiraling into the darkening sky, a fragile barrier against the predators that roamed unseen. Around the flames, stories were shared, not just of hunts and dangers, but of knowledge. Which herbs could heal, which rocks could be sharpened into tools, which stars guided them home. In the flickering light, the young hunter realized that survival was more than strength or courage, it was understanding, adaptation, and community. Every challenge they faced would shape them, refine them, and prepare them for the countless days ahead. And though the dangers were many, hope burned quietly in their hearts, as resilient and enduring as the fire they tended. With each passing day, they moved farther into the unknown, discovering the world, and in the process, discovering themselves. The story of humanity was being written in every step, every cautious breath, every learned lesson. The dawn of civilization unfolding silently in the wilderness. As the first light of dawn stretched across the rugged terrain, the small band of early humans stirred from their temporary shelters. Every movement was deliberate. Every glance carried a mixture of caution and curiosity. They were hunters, gatherers, survivors. Each day a fragile balance between life and the unforgiving wilderness. In the distance, the low rumble of a river reminded them of both danger and opportunity. Water meant life, but it also meant predators. Among them, a young member, barely reaching adulthood, watched the forest edge, alert to the faintest sound of movement. His eyes were sharp, his senses tuned to the rhythm of the land. Today, survival depended not just on strength, but on knowledge. They needed to remember which plants were safe, which routes were dangerous, and which moments demanded patience over action.